On behalf of Institutions Innovation Council, Tripura University, I welcome you all in the workshop on Business Model Canvas. Today, we are very glad to have with us CA Ashok Bhansali for delivering his lecture on Business Development Canvas. Before Sir starts delivering his lecture, I will like to read out a brief profile of Sir. CA Ashok Bhansali, working as a freelance financial advisor and adjunct and visiting faculty, predominantly in the finance function as well as digital transformation, fueled by blockchain and other transformative technologies. Sir, along with his team, have developed the virtual finance back office along with the virtual CFO services as a part of their advisory services. Entire accounting and finance function has been digitized. Sir is a strategic leader and qualified finance professional with an entrepreneurial bent of mind, offering 37 years of multicultural and diversified experience in spearheading entire business operations, financial accounting and reporting, cash flow and fund flow management, new business strategy formulation and implementation, driving profit improvement initiatives through cost reduction, cost optimization, efficiency improvement, and internal control across various industries such as automobile, blockchain, education, manufacturing, engineering, food, and other renowned industries with presence across India and overseas locations. Presented international papers at Singapore and India. Sir is an accomplished entrepreneur who has successfully offered strategic advisory, support, and services with respect to business and financial operations, setting up the business, formation of the company, ensuring compliance, corporate level trainings, and statutory audit to major clients such as USA based MNCs in manufacturing and trading of nylon polymers, CA firms, and other major clients in diverse industries and cultural backgrounds. So, with this brief introduction of Sir, I welcome you, Sir, on this workshop on business model canvas, and I request you to start delivering your address. Over to CA Ashok Bansali, sir.
Dr. Nirmala
Thank you.
of Tripura University, thanks a lot for giving me an opportunity to interact with the students and faculty at the Tripura University. So, my association with Tripura University is more than 5 years old now. Okay, what we'll do is now I'll start with my presentation. So, you know, uh, the details. They say that the God or the devil is in the details. Yes, and more so also in our business or professional life, we have to master the details. Okay, so I'm going to give a little brief about how do we understand the details of the business, either which we are entering or which we have already entered, or which we want to expand or modify. Yes, and the proof of the pudding is in the details. Yes, because it is from details that you can make or break an enterprise or a business. So we'll give you a little brief introduction now. Most important is that you should know the firm's product. Okay, the business segment and the product is very important. So do we know the type of the product? What is the consumer demand for the product? Is there enough demand, and will this demand remain in the future? We've had companies like Kodak which vanished overnight because of a new innovative product which came out in terms of the digital camera, the price elasticity of demand for the product, how much price we can increase, are there any available substitute for the product, and is it differentiated? Yes, we have had instances where glass was substituted for wood, or let's say steel was substituted by aluminum in motor cars. Is it differentiated on price, on quality? Is there a brand name association of the product? The patent protection for the product. These are all very important. You should know the business segment and its products in and out. Then we should also know the technology required to bring the product to the market. Because if the production process or the marketing process requires that we adopt technology, and more so if we have to need to adopt the emerging technologies of this new creative economy, we have to plan for it in our business value proposition to the customer, and how we you know differentiate ourselves with others. What are the distribution channels? Are they only offline, or are they also online or on the web? Okay. And now we also have, and we are living in an era of increased digitization and digital transformation. What is the status of the supplier network and how the supply chain operates? The key to reducing turnaround time and to increase customer satisfaction and the AHA experience, a robust and well managed supply chain which is integrated with your technology platforms. What is the cost structure of the product? And are there any economies of scale in terms of distribution, in terms of production for the product? And how is all this synced with the technology and our technology platforms? Okay. Then it does augur well to know the firm's knowledge base, the direction and pace of technology change and the firm's grasp of it, the research and development programs which it has undertaken, and the tie into the information network. Are outside stakeholders like customers, vendors also able to access your information network? The managerial talent in house, as well as what you can hire outside, including consultants and outside research help, your ability to innovate in product development, your ability to innovate in production technology, economies from learning, and the competitiveness. The next, but not is very important, is the knowing the competitiveness of the industry. So industry, the number of in the industry and likelihood of new entrants and substitute products, is there brand protection? This is very important, because if new entrants come in or if substitute products are available, that is going to may disrupt your business models. The firm's position in the industry, is it a first mover or a follower in the industry? Does it have a cost advantage? And competitiveness of the suppliers. Do the suppliers have market power? Do labor unions have power? Capacity in the industry, is there excess capacity or under capacity? Relationships and alliances with other firms. And also, of course, your competitive positioning. What is your competitive positioning? Do you have a clear cut strategy for competitive positioning? The two strategies for competitive positioning, as we all know, are cost leadership and differentiation. Very important to know the entire environment, the political, legal, regulatory, and the ethical environment in which we have to operate. What does the firm have political influence? What are the legal constraints on the firm, including antitrust law, cybersecurity law, consumer law, labor law, and environmental law? And will the products or services which we are going to offer be within the legal, written legal statutes of that particular country? regulatory constraints on the firm, including product and price regulations, the taxation of the business, if it is having multinational operations, then the taxation of those particular jurisdictions as well, the ethical charter under which the firm operates, and the prosperity of and the propensity of managers to violate it, the strength of corporate governance and mechanisms. So these are the the important details which you should know even before you start your business. More so, even if you are making a business model. So we may have an idea, but in order to have a, a robust business model, we need to also factor in these things. Further, the how do we make our organization the best? By benchmarking with our competition. This is very important for any business, even for startups, or even if it's a mature business, right? And the tools for or the information for benchmarking is trend analysis, your past, present, and how will it be in the future, and how do you compare with the industry, and not just the domestic industry, also with the global players. You have to benchmark with the best in the world. Okay. So, what exactly is benchmarking? Benchmarking is the process of determining who is the very best, who sets the standard, and what that standard is. Yes. We also have to think and keep in mind our business strategy analysis. We have to identify our key profit drivers and potential risks. Okay. Now, the strategies for creating competitive advantage are two: cost leadership, supplying the same product or service at a lower cost. An example is Maruti for the vehicle industry. Okay. Differentiation. Here, differentiation is supplying a unique product or service at a cost lower than the price premium customers will pay. An example from the automobile industry again is Mercedes Benz or any luxury cars. Okay. Having a clear cut, defined strategy of for creating competitive advantage is very important when you are developing a business model or creating a business model canvas. A little overview of the business system in which we operate. That is an overview of the system, because the managerial decisions are made within the system. So here we have, you know, three decisions which are directly related to the business system. First is, in which business should we operate in, or our investing decision. Once we decide on which business to operate in or to start, the next decision is, how do I raise my finances, or the financing decision. And thereafter, once you have decided on the investment and the capital expenditure, that is the land, building, and other things which you need to start your business. And once you have decided on the financing and you've got your financing in place, then we have to think about our operating decision, or how do I run my business on a day-to-day basis. So all these things are important while we are creating a business plan, or more so when we are creating a business model, or we are creating a single dashboard of a business model canvas. So the success mantra is, you have to think local, but you have to act global, because now is an era of globalization and a digital borderless world. Moving on, I'm going to touch upon the how do we create a business model and the business model canvas. So a business model canvas is nothing but a tool for the entrepreneurs to structure their business and to create sustainable value and growth. Whatever we do in business has to generate sustainable value, because if you are not creating value, you may not survive, and also your other stakeholders will not be with you for a long term. Okay, so we have a business idea, but That business idea is good for a starting point, but we need to convert that into a business model. So the caveat here is that any business idea is not the same or equal to the business model, but we have to understand what are we doing. And so understanding the problem that you are solving for your customer is undoubtedly the biggest challenge you'll face when you're starting a business. And now the customer needs to want what you are selling, and your product needs to solve a real problem. And this, this paradigm of the customer's need and your selling proposition of the product and how it solves is a continuous uh, event in the business, and you have to keep on revisiting, innovating, changing, and moving ahead. We cannot sit on old paradigms. You have to move with the times, and that's the only mantra for survival. Okay, but you have to ensure that your product fits the needs of the market, uh, and is only one part of starting your successful business. So, and basically ensuring that your product fits the needs of the market is only one part of starting a successful business. There are many other ingredients which you have to consider for a successful business. And the other ingredient is figuring out how you're going to make money. You have to think about value creation. And value creation is possible only if you are selling products and services at a price which is more than what it costs. Okay. And so having to balance so many factors and variables in a business for getting a structure and a sort of a control into the business is where you need to have a business model. And this is where your business model comes into play and becomes important. So a business model is like a roadmap or a graph of how you will structure your business, how will you interact with the stakeholders, and how will you create value. And it is a very important part of your business plan and your ambitions and goals for the business. Okay. So you may ask, why do we need a business model? Okay, the business model is representative of the business plan, and it is devoid of the unnecessary details compared to the traditional business plan. So a business model is a schematic, uh, a vision of the model, but it doesn't have unnecessary details. It's the overall broad view of the business. And if you have a visual nature of the business model, it makes it easier to refer and to understand by anyone, and it can also be shared with the stakeholders. Okay, and once you have a business model, it is easier to edit, modify, and it can be easily shared with the employees and stakeholders. So there is a definite need for a business model, and in terms of your competitive positioning, in terms of your strategy or the battle plan for your business to combat competition and to survive the good times and the bad. Okay, the business model can be used by large large corporations as well as startups with just a few employees. So the business model is not necessarily only for startups. Even for large and matured corporations or companies, it is used. Even for medium enterprise. So business model is something which every business needs. Okay, the business model clarifies how different aspects of the business are related to each other. Okay, and uh, an improvement on this business model and planning is a concept called business model canvas template to guide a brainstorming session on defining your business model effectively. So it's basically a single dashboard type of a one pager wherein business proposition and the value proposition is put on a sheet of paper. So what are the key considerations for creating a business model? This is very important when you are trying to do your business planning And so, how can you describe your business model? How can you design your business model? How can you discuss your business model? It's very important that you should be able to discuss your business model with all stakeholders, be it lenders, government, so many stakeholders who are interested in your business, employees, customers, and the design of your business model also is very important. How can you challenge your business model? So, can you yourself or outside competition challenge your own business model? How can you improve your present business model? How can you innovate your business model? How can you bring in some new products or services or new ways of doing your existing operations? Innovation definitely is key. So, besides technology, innovation. How can you invent your business model? Or how can you introduce new products by way of innovation? How can you choose your business model? And how can you pivot your business model? So, you know, uh, these are the key considerations for creating a business model. And what makes us stick into the future is technology, innovation, competition, and knowledge. Mind you, competition is your greatest guru because it teaches us how to survive, combat, and grow in this competitive environment. So, what exactly is a business model? So, supposing you have a new business idea but don't know how to put it to work, you got a thought that you want to do something, maybe find a new immunity booster for the body, and you want to improve your existing business model as well, and you're overwhelmed by writing your business plan. You do not know what to do, how to start. So, there is a one-page technique that can provide you the solution you're looking for, and that's the business model canvas. That's a one-pager. It's similar to a dashboard in a car or on an aircraft or a spacecraft. And this one-page dashboard is used to monitor, evaluate, and create a business model. Yeah. So, put simply, a business model is simply a plan describing how a business intends to make money and also create value by offering its products and services. Yes. You have to please understand that value and value creation, and that too on a sustainable basis, is very important for the survival of the business. There and hence a business model describes the rationale of how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value in the economic, social, and cultural and other contexts. Have a proper rationale, not only for today, even for the future. The process of business model construction and modification is also called business model innovation and forms a part of the business strategy. Yeah, and this can be also be evolving or innovating with your new processes, new products, and services. The question is, why do we need a business model? Yeah, it can be used. The business model it can be used by large corporations as well as small or startups with just a few employees. Basically, a business model is a holistic view. It clarifies how different aspects of a business are related to each other. It's something like your palm or a hand, and you have different fingers on your palm, and they all are related to your arm, which is the business, and how different aspects or the different fingers are related to each other in order for your hand to function. Similarly, in a business model, all the different aspects of the business are highlighted and how they contribute or how they are related to each other in creating value. So we can use a business model canvas template to guide a brainstorming session on defining how your business model functions effectively. Yes. Now, we need a business model to get devoid of the unnecessary details compared to the traditional business plan, and the visual nature of the business makes it easier to understand. Okay. Now, the business model can be broken into three parts. First part, everything it takes to make something, the products, the services, and the facilities you require, the assets which you have to create to make something, create something. Thereafter, everything it takes to sell that thing, the selling distribution aspect of it. And third, last but not the least, how and what the customer pays for your products and services. So this is how the business model can be broken up into. So the classification of the components of the business model is broken into the feasibility, whether it is feasible and does it make business sense. You may have an idea, but it should make business sense. It should create value. It should have some profit in it. Whether desirability in terms of the owner to pursue the business model, and desirability in terms of the customers to buy the products, because the customers have got a lot of choices and customer is always king. Yes. And the viability of the business model as well. Okay. So business model is nothing but how a company creates value for itself while delivering products and services for its customers. The key is value creation on a sustainable basis. Now we'll just have a look at a YouTube video, yeah, which is on the business model canvas.
So one of the interesting things about thinking about a startup is, how is your company going to be organized? And what we now know is the most efficient way to think about all the pieces, just all the parts, is by a business model. And so the next question is, okay, Steve, you just told me to think about a business model, but what is a business model? What are all the pieces? Well, let's take a look. And a business model is how a company creates value for itself while delivering products or services for its customers. Now, if you think about it, in the old days, we think about how to organize a company around functional organizations. We think, no, a company is about its sales department or its engineering department, and you would draw an org chart. But now we're going to draw a very different diagram. We're going to draw a diagram of how to think about all the pieces of a business. And so let's take a look at these 9 boxes. 9 boxes to describe any company from the world's largest to a 2-person startup starting in your parents' garage. Let's take a look at the first piece called the value proposition. The value proposition answers the question, what are you building and for who? The value proposition says, hey, it's not about your idea or product, it's about solving a problem or a need for a customer. That is, what pain are you solving? What gain are you creating? And more importantly, who are your customers? Now, value proposition is a fancy word for what product or service are you building. This is where you normally would list all your features and here's all the speeds and feeds and benefits and whatever. But we're really going to be asking a different question than might have been used to. It's not all about your technology. Your technology is just part of the value proposition. Customers really don't care about your technology. The customers are trying to solve a problem or fulfill a need. By the way, we'll be talking about this through multiple lectures. The difference between a problem and a need is, a problem is, I have an accounting problem, or I want to use a word processor. And those types of products solve problems. But there are other things that human beings do, like I want to be entertained, or I want to have a date. Those are some basic hardwired social needs. Or I want to communicate with my friends, like Facebook or Twitter. Those are needs. Needs are different than problems. And by the way, if you could find products that solve needs, your total available market, as you'll see later, is huge compared to I solve specific problems. So the next thing is, who are my customers? Who are they and why would they buy? And as you'll hear a number of times, your customers do not exist to buy, you exist for them. And what you're going to do by getting out of the building is figuring out all their geographic, social characteristics, demographics, such that you actually could draw and put up a picture on your wall of who the archetype is or who the persona is of your customer. And it turns out that in most startups, you might have more than one or two or three types of customer archetypes and personas, but you need to understand them in detail. And there is no possible way you could have anything but a hypothesis on day one of who they are. The next is channels. How does your product over here get to your customers over here? And we use distribution channels to do that. Now, what's really interesting is pre-1990s, the only channels to get to a customer was a physical channel. That is, you went to a store, you had salespeople, there was physical distribution. But since the mid-1990s, in the last couple of decades, we now have virtual channels, the web, mobile, cloud. And so distribution channels, the first question you want to ask is, how will I be selling and how will I be distributing my products? Are they through physical channels or are they web mobile? Or given today, almost every physical channel also has a web presence. What is the relationship of how your product gets from your company to the customers? Customer relationships is kind of the fourth piece. And customer relationships has a really interesting interaction with these other three pieces. It basically says, how do I get customers? How do I keep them? And how do I grow them? And just like thinking about distribution channels, these are very different for web mobile than they are for physical channels. But visually, they kind of look like this double-sided funnel. So let's just take a look at quickly a web example. In getting customers, you're going to be worrying about how do I acquire them? That is, how do I get them even to my website? How do I activate them? That is, how do I make them do something? And then later on, we'll see after I got them, how do I keep them around? That is, how do I not lose them through attrition and churn? And then what can I do once I have customers to make them spend more money or use my product even more? And so one of the things we'll be thinking about is, how do I get, keep, and grow customers? And just like every other step, you might have hypotheses on day one, but you're only going to figure this out when you're out of the building. The next thing is revenue streams. How do you actually make money from your product and service being sold to customer segments? Revenue streams basically ask the question, what value is the customer paying for? And it actually has you think about what's the strategy of how I'm going to capture that value. Is it I'm going to just have a direct sale and it's a transaction based on price? Is it a freemium model where I'm going to give away the product for free and hope that some portion convert later? Is it a license or subscription model? That revenue model is different than the pricing tactics. That is, what is the dollar or pound amount or euro amount that I'm going to be charging? Again, the only way to figure this out is being able to interact with tens or hundreds or thousands of customers so you finally understand what the right revenue stream and revenue model is. Next piece you want to think about is, what are the key resources? What do you need to make the business model work? What assets are important? And what's an example of an asset in a key resource? Well, finance. Do you need capital? Do you need a line of credit? Some assets and resources are physical. Do you need physical plant like a manufacturing line? Do you need specialized machines? Do you need vans and for delivery? Do you need cars? Is there something else you need? Is there intellectual property you need? Is there patents you need to acquire or protect? Do you need to acquire customer lists? Or is it just that you need to get great people, great software programmers in a specific area, or great hardware designers, or great manufacturing people? And then finally, again, the interaction between intellectual and human capital that's another key resource. What specifically do you need to do to keep these people, and who are they? The next piece is, who are your key partners and suppliers? And partnerships are kind of interesting, is we need to ask ourselves, before what's the deal, is what exactly are we acquiring from partners? And also, what activities are they going to perform and when? And this is where startups sometimes make a mistake of thinking, well, large companies do partnerships. I guess I need those too on day one. Turns out the types of partnerships you need in year one are certainly not the ones you're going to need in year 3 or 5 or 10. And the types of partnerships could be strategic alliances, joint ventures, just regular suppliers and buyers. And so you need to be thinking through who they are and actually getting out of the building and testing them. Next are key activities. What's the most important things you need to do for the business to make the business model work? Are you in the production business? Are you making something? Or are you in the problem-solving business, like you're doing consulting or engineering? Or are you managing supply chains? What are the key activities you need to become expert at? And then finally, all this adds up on the left-hand side over here to costs. What are the costs and expenses to operate the business model? One of the interesting things about cost is it's not just the obvious ones like people or buildings or materials. What you're really going to be asking are what are the entire costs to operate our business model? And so you want to think about what are the most important costs you need to worry about? What are the most expensive resources you're going to need to pay for? And what key activities are the most expensive? And then you want to ask the typical accounting things. What are fixed costs? What are variable costs? Are there economies of scale? And you want to start getting a good handle on what it is that will end up costing you money to run your business.
So coming back, that gives you a real good perspective about the entire business model canvas and how it can be applied to our business. Okay. Now let's come to the advantages of a business model. There are many. First of all, it's competitive advantage. So you may have a particular competitive advantage over the others, and you would also have your strategy for competitive positioning. We saw there are two: cost leadership and differentiation. Then, what is your plan for growth of your organization, and how much of financial stability we have in our operations is what we can get from the business model, and also in terms of the lenders and investors, right? So these are the areas we can focus on by way of a business model. So competitive advantage, it can give you a competitive edge over the companies in your industry. It helps you in implementing a unique business model. Implementing a unique business model can give you your company a unique reputation in the marketplace. Okay, and creating buzz among consumers and encouraging first-time purchases. It creates visibility. It creates, curiosity amongst customers. So that's the advantage of a business model because you have a defined, visible path ahead and how you are conducting your business. Then your plan for growth. So a solid business model that consistently brings profit into the organization and on the table can help to build a cash reserve that can be used for investment in new real property, equipment, or research and development efforts. So that once you have a robust business model which generates profit, it fuels your new businesses or new areas or new products and services which you want to enter into. It gives financial stability. That's one of the very important advantages of the business model. It gives you financial stability, which means you can sustain the business cycles, the good or the bad weather. It makes to organizations financial stability makes to organization stability and other ability to weather economic storms or shifting market conditions. A business model forces an entrepreneur to keep abreast of exactly how profit is being made each month. So the entrepreneur, the owners, the stakeholders are in the know of how profit is being generated and being made each month. Yes. The lenders and investors are also well acquainted with small business failure rates, and no matter how novel or market related products and services, lenders and investors want to know that you have a plan for profitability. Okay, even though you may have a unique product or something which is in demand, but the lenders and investors who have put their money, either the debt or the equity, want to know that whether what's your plan because they have risked their money and they're expecting a value addition either way of interest or dividend in the money which they have invested in. Okay, being the business model enables us to elaborate on and answer questions about your business model and profit expectation can give you a large advantage over competitors when seeking new financing. So, your capacity to elaborate and answer questions about your business model gives you a large advantage over competitors when seeking new financing, and there is transparency in what you're doing. Okay. However, there are certain disadvantages of a business model as well. So, uh, the business model, one of the advantages is cost. It is typically has a high buy-in price, and the business model also differs from the MLM approach. In addition to the higher buy-in price to be a part of the company, the business model relies on direct sales more so than does a traditional MLM approach. And the business models are not multi-level marketing by any means, but they do share some of the same elements, right? There is an association with the socio-economic environment. Yes. Now we come to what is a business model canvas. So think of it, a canvas as a one sheet or one canvas in which you have to make a drawing or paint a picture of the business, right? So simply put, a business model is simply a plan describing how a business intends to make money, and this whole plan is put into the a single sheet of paper or a single canvas. It's like a dashboard, as I said. So it explains who your customer base is and how you deliver value to them and related details of financing. So basically, it answers the three basic questions of decision making. Basically, in which business you are investing in, how do you finance that business, and how you will do the day-to-day running of the business. This basically in finance we study as the capital investing or the capital budgeting decision and the financing decision and the working capital decision, which relates to how you can run your company on a day-to-day basis. And so, and the business model canvas lets you define these different components on a single page. So that's the advantage of it. You can see the structure of the business on a single page. Uh, a business model canvas describes the rationale of how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value in economic, social, cultural, and other contexts. Okay, and the process of business model construction and motivation is also called business model innovation and forms a part of business strategy, the overall business strategy of your, how you are positioning yourself. Okay, now these are the various 9 segments or buckets of a business model canvas. So your customer segments, your value propositions, your channels, your key resources, your revenue streams, your customer relationships, your key activities, key partnerships, and the cost structure. So basically, these are the very important aspects of your business model canvas. Yes, and so the customer segments, are they segmented? Are they diversified? Are they are they on a multi-sided platform? And most important is the next part is the value proposition. So what value do we deliver to the customer? Yes, and what are the customers' problems that I'm trying to solve, and what are we offering to our customer segments, and what is the need of the customer. That's the value proposition. If the customer needs your products or services, that's your value proposition. How are we going to distribute our products, the distribution, whether it is owned channels or it is partner channels? What are the key resources that we will be using for that? Okay, so what are the categories? What are you know the types of resources that we are using: the human, the physical, the financial, and the intellectual resources which we are having. Then what are the various revenue streams which we are having for this business? Okay, some of the revenue streams could be asset sale, could be usage fee, could be subscription fee, could be lending, leasing, or renting in case of property. If in case you are unable to sell, there's a big leasing and lending market also. It could be licensing of your intellectual property rights. it could be brokerage fees, or it could be advertising, right? And what are the key partnerships which you are trying to enter into, and the key activities which you are going to conduct for the business, and most importantly, the cost structure. What are the most important costs, you know, inherent in our business models? What key resources and activities are most expensive and for our business? Yeah. And is our business more cost driven or value driven? So these are some of the things which you have to, you know, these are the 9 building blocks which have to be represented in the business model canvas. Okay. So what we do is that we put all these uh, building blocks onto a single sheet or a single canvas, and this is where we get the business model canvas. While we make this canvas as per need and as per the changing environment, you can tweak, change, add, modify the various parts of the building blocks. Yeah, because as time changes, as competition changes, as your maybe your revenue streams or cost structure changes, you will have to tweak some changes. But you have a structure on which to build upon, and that is how this business model canvas, is generated. This is a very key aspect of, you know of starting or creating a business, and then having sustainable growth in the business. Okay. At this point, we'll again see a small.
An organization's business model can be described with 9 basic building blocks: your customer segments, your value proposition for each segment, the channels to reach customers, customer relationships you establish, the revenue streams you generate, the key resources and key activities you require to create value, the key partners, and the cost structure of the business model. But it's not sufficient to just enumerate the 9 building blocks. What you really want to do is to map them out on a pre-structured canvas. This is what we call the business model canvas, a tool that helps you map, discuss, design, and invent new business models. Let's briefly go through the 9 building blocks, starting with the customer segments. These are all the people or organizations for which you're creating value. This includes simple users and paying customers. For each segment, you have a specific value proposition. These are the bundles of products and services that create value for your customers. The channels describe through which touchpoints you're interacting with customers and delivering value. The customer relationships outline the type of relationship you're establishing with your customers. The revenue streams make clear how and through which pricing mechanisms your business model is capturing value. Then you need to describe the infrastructure to create, deliver, and capture value. The key resources show which assets are indispensable in your business model. The key activities show which things you really need to be able to perform well. The key partners show who can help you leverage your business model, since you won't own all key resources yourself, nor will you perform all key activities. Then once you understand your business model's infrastructure, you'll also have an idea of its cost structure. So with the business model canvas, you can map out your entire business model in one image. This works for startup entrepreneurs just as well as for the most senior executives.
So that probably gives you a fair bit of idea about the business model canvas, how it is built. As you can see, it is dynamic. It's constantly needs to be upgraded, changed to your business needs, to the changing business environment, the regulatory environment, and the infrastructure, and also maybe some value generated either by the various policies of the government, be it the union budget, be it the fiscal deficit, be it the import-export policy, the entire macroeconomic factors and dynamics. Okay, so you have to understand that the right side of the canvas focuses on the customer or the market, external factors that are not under your control, while the left side of the canvas focuses on the business internal factors which are mostly under your control. In the middle you get value propositions that represent the exchange of value between your business and your customers. So going back again, the right side is not in your control. The left side are basically your operating efficiencies or operating decisions, and in the middle is the value proposition which you offer to the customer. So it's a very scientific, nice model which you can use for your business and to see that immense value is created from your business. Okay. So the methods for the creation of a business model are fresh watching. Fresh watching is an ideation method by which you mix and match or overlay your business models from other companies with your own. And remove your core means you look at the business model, find out the things you are absolutely sure is how your company creates, delivers, or captures value. It's your special sauce. It could also be an irreplaceable partner or a specific customer segment. Okay, so you look into your business. What are the parts? Okay, so in conclusion, what I'm going to say is that a business model is a starting point. It's a structure. It's a roadmap. Makes decision makers smarter, comprehensive, coherent, and structured. It aligns well with the organization, but it needs effort, immense efforts, and time to be implemented. But in the end, it delivers value for customer and the organization, which basically ensures continuous sustainable growth for the organization and its stakeholders. So with that, I come to ask you all. You can put it in the chat. So basically, a business model or the business model canvas is a tool to achieve your key result areas and to hit the bullseye. So, hope this helps you in your business, whether it's a startup or a mature business or an existing business tending towards growth. Thank you for the patient listening. I request Dr. Nirmala to take over from this point.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful lecture and all the audience. I hope they have got a lot of lesson out of this business model canvas. And as you have rightly pointed, that value proposition is the most important part of any business model canvas, because if we can understand what is the problem customers are facing and what is their need, accordingly we need to design some product or service so that that can satisfy the need or the want of the customers, and gradually this will make a better business in near future. So I think you have delivered a wonderful lecture for the audience, and our students, scholars, and faculty members will really get benefited out of your knowledge. And I hope in future also we will be in touch with you to invite you in more different platform to deliver lectures on different business model. Thank you, sir. Thank you again for your time, and I wish you all the best for your future. And also, I uh, expect that we'll be in touch with you and we'll invite you in near future in our different programs. Thank you, sir. Thank you again.